I'm Alexis Schwarha with Campus Reform, and you're watching 5 Big Questions. Today I am joined by Ben Zeisloft, a senior campus correspondent here at Campus Reform. Ben is a senior at the University of Pennsylvania, where he is studying business economics and public policy at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School. There he serves as the editor-in-chief of the UPenn Statesman, an independent newspaper that is devoted to free speech, and is the editor of the Christian magazine, The Epistle. Ben, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So to kick us off here, tell me a little more about what it's like running a student-led newspaper.
It certainly takes the willingness to be countercultural. University of Pennsylvania is a large Ivy League school, very secular in nature, so you have to be willing to push conservative and libertarian stories and perhaps get some awkward questions from your friends sometimes. Luckily, throughout my 4 years here, it hasn't been too bad an experience. I've really enjoyed it. But it's certainly, it takes some degree of courage and boldness to be willing to push against the grain at a school like this.
And in addition to your work as an editor and in addition to your work as a journalist, you are a strong advocate for the unborn. You do a lot of social media advocacy, a lot of sidewalk advocacy, really taking a vested interest in the pro-life movement. How does your work in the pro-life movement influence your writing?
Certainly, I think a lot of the values of being a Christian in a culture that kills babies carries over to just being conservative and being willing to stick to what you know to be true. There's a lot of carryover between those two. Certainly, I think for me as a Christian, a lot of conservative politics is the natural outflow of the Christian worldview, knowing that men are fallen and that we need government to be limited because people in unlimited opportunities to get power will just oppress others.
And to throw it back to the very beginning of your career, tell us a little more about how you got involved.
Yeah, so getting involved in journalism almost happened by accident. I came into business school. I was expecting to do venture capital, startup, something along those lines. And with COVID, all those doors shut except for ISI's internship for the summer. So I was with Spectator USA and Amber Athey, and I very quickly got to enjoy the journalism industry. Conservative journalism is a very tight-knit circle. Everybody knows everybody. So I really liked that culture, even in between outlets, that's true. So heading into my junior year of college, I was thinking about finding some kind of business analytics role at a conservative publication. But then I realized, I love to write as well. So why not just go ahead and be a journalist?
You're now working very closely with the Daily Wire, where former editor-in-chief of Campus Reform, Cabot Phillips, is now working as a managing editor. Can you tell us a little more about how this transition went?
Sure. So it was pretty simple. When Cabot moved over to the Daily Wire, I moved over with him for the summer. And then that turned into being a contributor right now for the school year. And then hopefully there will be a role after I graduate in a few months here.
And Ben, as a college student, I want to get your opinion on this. What do you feel is the most important issue that's facing college students at the moment?
I think certainly free speech is a big one. It takes a lot of willpower to be willing to speak against the default center-left worldview that I see at a school like the University of Pennsylvania. So having professors and students who are willing to listen to conservative values, and then having conservatives who are willing to actually speak out with their values, both are very important. And I think the work that we do at Campus Reform is critical in that mission, in letting our peers know that we exist, that we're on their campuses, and that our ideas really aren't that crazy. They just probably have not heard them before growing up, in a generally progressive and becoming more progressive culture in the United States.
And finally, to wrap us up here, what advice would you give to young journalists, to aspiring journalists, just to get their foot in the door?
For me, a big tip is to just start writing. And Campus Reform was very helpful with that for me. So I was able to write probably almost 1,000 articles, I guess, as an undergraduate with Campus Reform. So they will let you write as much as you want. And you get a lot of experience, even with the basics of journalism, reaching out to professors and other experts and trying to get some comment and, confirming the facts of the story, all the basic things you need to know to go and tell those important stories that our culture needs to hear.